So Marcus is sitting at his kitchen room table with two 1099s spread out in front of him and an email from his mortgage lender that basically says, we need more information about your income before we can issue your approval and you could buy your house. So 3 years of driving for two different apps, so Uber and Amazon, income actually going up every year, and somehow on paper, his file looks worse and not better. So the first thing that he thought was, what am I doing wrong? Do they think that I'm lying to them about how much money I made? But by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly why that email landed in his inbox and the one habit that it would have kept it all from happening, all the negative stuff from happening to begin with. Because that email is probably sitting in your inbox too if you are a gig worker, or it's gonna be here soon. So Marcus figured more income could only help him. And that's not a bad assumption, that's actually how every other part of his life works. More money coming in, the better off you are. But mortgage lending doesn't measure it the same way, and here's what kind of caught him off guard. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac draw the line at self-employment at 25% ownership in a business. So you drive, you deliver, you pick up, you freelance, you gig, you do any of these kind of side hustles. As soon as you cross that line and file your first Schedule C, congratulations, you are now a business owner. So the moment Marcus started driving, he stopped being a guy with a side job or a gig in his mortgage lender's eyes and became a business owner or self-employed without even agreeing to that title, without anyone telling him also that word had attached itself to him and his ability to buy a house. And once you're self-employed on paper, the standard is 2 full years of tax returns before a lender will count that income as real and ongoing and safe income to count. So Mark was actually on both of his jobs for 3 years. So the history wasn't the problem, but something else in those tax returns were working against him, and it wasn't a mistake, and no one was lying, and he wasn't lying as well. It was actually something that his CPA was paid to do correctly, and that's the part that's gonna sound really backwards. So here's the part that sounds backwards, and it's the same thing that trips up almost everyone in Marcus's position. Marcus didn't do his own taxes. He handed everything to a CPA every year to keep his tax bill as low as possible, which is exactly what you're supposed to do and exactly what most gig workers do as well. So drive 20,000 miles a year, chasing deliveries, delivering food, delivering packages, and the standard mile deduction alone knocks off $14,500 off of your taxable income, which is also 72.5 cents every single mile. Go check the IRS guidelines. So doing those deductions is the right call. His CPA earned their fee by getting his number to the IRS as low as possible, but the same return that shrank what he owed to the IRS was the exact return his lender pulled up to decide what he could or couldn't afford when it came to buying a home. That is the whole problem right there. So that's why the email from his lender showed up. So the underwriter wasn't accusing him of anything. It was math doing exactly what math does. But knowing that fact, it didn't make Marcus feel any better, and it didn't fix his ability to buy a house, because there was a second problem sitting right underneath the first one. Marcus picked up a second gig job that got added the same year. So now there are two Schedule Cs or 1099s telling two slightly different stories instead of one clean picture. And in Marcus's situation, no one had really gone back through and made sure that everything was aligned the way that it was supposed to. So here's actually what we did for Marcus. We didn't file anything new or ask him to change what he owed. We pulled both of his platforms, both of his gig jobs for both years, and rebuilt one clean picture that showed the real growth instead of 2 years of messy fragments and paperwork all over the place and it just being an absolute quagmire, and made it really clean for the underwriter to understand. So he opened up a dedicated account for his gig income, for his side hustle income, separate from his own personal accounts. That single move is what lets a lender see a clean paper trail and actually qualify you with less than 2 years history if your most recent return shows a full 12 months in the same work. Once again, go check the Fannie and Freddie guidelines. But knowing the account matters, and actually pulling a clean earnings statement from it, rebuilding his cash flow analysis so both platforms read as one story instead of two. That is the precision part that we helped him with. That's where the real mess gets solved. So his number went up, not because anything changed about his income that he had earned, but because the paperwork finally told the same story that he had been seeing in reality. So right now, a 30-year fixed home loan is averaging about 6.5%, and the average Columbus home price is running about $309,000, up about 6% from a year ago. Once again, go check the stats. I'll include them below. So Marcus didn't have the luxury of waiting a whole year to figure this out because he wanted to buy a house sooner rather than later. So the same precision that cleared up his file also meant that he wasn't chasing the market that was moving like at light speed without him. Now, maybe you only have one side gig, one hustle that you're doing, not two like Marcus. Maybe you've never been questioned yet because you haven't gotten to the part where you're trying to figure out how to make the home loan stuff work. So this is going to be true for you also if any of the following things are true. Your tax return was built by someone else and you've never looked closely at what your tax return actually says. Your income has shifted at all in the last 2 years, up or down, or you added another job, or you're still inside that 2-year window and don't know the last 12 months exceptions existed. So if any of that is you, the paperwork is already telling a story about you. The only question is whether that story is true. So let me tell you what I know about you if you're still watching to this point in the video. You're not someone who's hoping a lender just doesn't look too closely at your tax returns, at your 1099s. You're not someone who is hoping to hide their income or fudge their forms to make the math work so you can buy a house, because once again, that's bad, that's fraud. You're someone who's actually built something real, the real time, the real hustle, the real money, and you just want the paperwork to finally show the same thing that you already know is true. You're making money, but you should also still be able to buy a house. So I don't want you spending time the next 3 weeks trying to figure all this stuff out yourself. We're building the spreadsheets and guessing whether you got it right, when we, the stewards, have already solved this exact problem for many people, many hundreds of times. You know what went wrong, and we will fix it. So this is the exact process we run for every driver, every gig worker, every side hustler that comes through our door. So we'll pull up the real number, rebuild the picture the right way, hand you a file and a mortgage approval that matches what you already know is true. You're making money, you just got to show it on paper now. 1 20-minute conversation, no spreadsheets on your end, no guessing which form you got to bring in. Just like you handed your taxes to your CPA and didn't look back, you hand us your situation and we'll take care of the rest. So if you want us to help you like we did Marcus, the link in the description below, where you can scan the QR code right here and reach out to us, because wanting to buy a house, your side hustle, your income, your effort was never the problem. And now your home loan won't be either.